is looking at a picture of end-stage renal failure. This is the last stage when you're less than 10% of the kidney functioning.
Wow.
And also you see a picture of the acute renal failure. This is around second stage. This is around the 60% or 65 to percent that is working. We're going to talk about a little bit of the percentages, but I wanted to show a picture of how it looks. Even on your worksheets, those of you who have your worksheets, you'll see some of the physiology, some of the anatomy and some of the functions that the kidney is responsible for. So with that being said, I guess we'll get to the board.
So both of these are end stage.
No.
So when it gets that white stuff that's in there, it kind of look like meat a little bit. When it gets like white like that, that's more of the end stage. But the red is more like it's still functioning, or
No,
I'm just trying to understand the two images.
Some of the calyxes are actually degenerated. You can see that in the end stage renal failure right there.
Which part?
This here is a good indicator that this is starting. These calyxes, these medulla pyramids right here.
Oh, that's what we should be looking at. Because I'm looking at this white part, like thinking
what you're looking at here is a cortex. This is the cortex area. All right. And they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Usually a kidney would have between 7 to 12 medulla pyramids. Mm-hmm. This one right here, 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. You see that? Those are the ones that are somewhat gone. They're gone. So they're no longer functioning there. So the less those medulla pyramids are functioning, that's closer to end stage.
Thank you for that information.
So the normal person, just think of it, each kidney has 1 million nephrons in it. And I'm going to show a big picture. I blew up a big picture on the board here of what a nephron is. I'm going to go really deep into the what's really going on in there, like the physiology of it. I think everyone should be a little bit acquainted on what the anatomy is as well. We'll be talking a little bit more on that. So I'm going to turn on the lights.
Okay.
And all right, y'all people, students. There's a lot going on here on this board. We got to talk about some of the causes. Why are so many people getting chronic kidney disease or kidney failure? Why? Why is it so prevalent today? I'm going to be showing an experiment on how this actually happens, but we did talk about right there a little bit of the anatomy. I wanted you guys to look at some of the students in class right now have already seen the video that I did 3 years ago. It was a little older video, and we talked all about the inside of the kidney. But what I did not get a chance to go into is the inside of the medulla pyramids. Mm-hmm. All right. So inside of the medulla pyramids is this big structure right here, but it's really, really small. There are 1 million in each kidney. So we got 2 million nephrons that look just like this. I just supersized it so you can see the intricate details. Now when we're looking at the kidney, this is like a whole body of its own. It has a brain, it has a heart, it has vessels, it has all these different things. So it's very, very intricate. There are a lot of people that need this information so they'll know how this is functioning. So what we have here is, it starts from this vein, this actual artery right here. The artery's here in red, artery's here in red. All right. when this artery is having, the lumen has the blood in it. It has all of the oxygenated blood, all of the nutrients, all of the nitric oxide, all of the amino acids, proteins, hydrogen ions. So it has all of the sodium and everything that's in the blood. So when it comes here, I'm gonna show you guys. This is a artery, and what did I say was a smaller artery? This is called a arteriole. So it's a smaller artery, and this is called the afferent, meaning it's going into this structure right here that's called the glomerulus. All right, this little structure right here. This glomerulus is like the brain of every nephron. It is diffusing all of these small particles, like smaller proteins. It can diffuse hydrogens. Those are positive ions, and we have to excrete the positive ions, because if we don't, our blood will be acidic. All right, so we need to stay at a level of 7.1. So one of the functions of this nephrons is to make sure that our blood does not be acidic. All right, so this is called the Bowman's capsule, this little area that looks like a hook. And from the Bowman's capsule and from the glomerulus, you have all these diffusions that's going in, and it actually is going to be going into this tubule. This is called the proximal tubule. All right, this is the area where glucose is being absorbed and reabsorbed. Calcium is being absorbed and reabsorbed. We have sodium that's being traveling down. So as it goes down this proximal tubule, there's these little what you call capillaries. The red here that's coming from the afferent arteriole that's going around in all the loops and everything that you see. This is what they call a peritubual capillary network. All right, it's a network of capillaries that is diffusing certain things, certain minerals, certain glucose, amino acids. They're all going in between certain areas. Once it goes down this proximal tubule, it's going down into what they call the loop of Henle. This is where glucose can actually be secreted out back into the bloodstream. So inside of the nephron, if you look at this yellow space, all right, this is called the cortex, and also the extracellular matrix, where there's actually fluid right there. Fluid that is called the interstitium. They need to give this a whole nother organ name. Probably it's already been talked about, but if you know the word interstitium, which is all on the outside of every nephron, it's called the interstitium. That's a whole nother organ. Just been found in 2015. They named it a new organ. So as the blood is delivering all of the nutrients here, this is how we're cleaning the blood. This is a cleaning system. Once it's coming out of this capillary network here, it goes into what you call the venule. We talked about smaller veins, which are called venules. This venule goes into the renal vein. All right, this has all of the deoxygenated blood. All right, so it doesn't have a lot of the components that's been taken out into urine. So as it goes through the proximal tubule, down the loop of Henle, up into the distal convoluted tubule, and then it has to go down into the collecting duct. Alright, this is the collecting duct. So urine comes out here, or better yet, it goes to the bladder. Alright. This glomerulus is receiving all of this nutrient. So only 20% of the blood is actually going in there. Only 20% of the blood. So 80%, the rest of the 80% is going through this other section here. All right. Remember that there are 1 million of these. So it's handling a 24/7, 180 liters, of blood. So that's a lot of work. I wanted to talk about certain substances that can't get through here, but some way it finds a way to get out into the urine. All right, so 20% is going in here, and the rest of the 80% is going here. All right, so we got larger molecules like bigger proteins like, let's just give an idea, glycated proteins. We're going to be talking about one of the things that when glucose gets reabsorbed and does not leave this section, it becomes glycated. It becomes sticky. All right, glycated basically means, well, I'll show you right here. One of the number one causes of kidney failure is these two molecules right here, these two structures right here. So this is protein, and this is sugar. And those two added together create this. All right. So this can also happen with lipids, which is basically fat. So anytime they get exposed to the sugars, they definitely cause more of the glycated proteins. So we will call this age. That's another word for it. Once these get into the circulation, they can get to our retina, like we talked about before in the other class. They can also get into this area right here, where this becomes so saturated. All right. When this area becomes saturated, it's hard for other blood and all the other fluids to get through here, because this is the very first part. All right. The first thing about kidney failure, the person has to be going through high glucose levels or high insulin levels. They must have high insulin levels because this part right here has become so glycated. So the first thing is high insulin and basically high blood sugars, high glucose. I wanted to demonstrate just a little bit about some of these medications, because these medications are actually causing us to have more insulin resistance. And with this section right here of your kidneys, and it's being so, everything's stuck together. Everything's stuck together. When this starts to shrink, we've seen certain pictures of how the calyxes and how the pyramids are actually shrunken. We know that has happened. That's had to happen. So let me show you guys a little experiment on how this actually works. I have some chlorophyll here, plant blood, and plant blood helps us clean. So say for instance, just water. And I'm just going to drop some chlorophyll in there so it'll just show the difference. Alright. When we're eating food and we have the bad foods, I'm talking about all these different proteins. Proteins is very, very bad for kidney functions. I mean, a plant-based lifestyle is the better way to heal yourself if you have kidney failure, okay? Because heavy proteins, larger proteins can't get through here when you already have glycation right there. And since larger proteins have to go through the other arterioles and try to find its way here, this is how we get protein in our urine. All right, so protein is not a good thing. It's called polyuria, proteinuria. When there's a lot of protein in the urine, you'll see it be really foamy. All right, so that's a good indication that you know that there's protein in your filtrate, as they say. So with this being said, when you're eating this way, say you had a soda, which is high fructose corn syrup, and basically phosphoric acid. Your phosphorus is high during kidney failure, all right? Because you shouldn't be having any high phosphorus foods. And we're going to go over a little list of foods too, but say for instance you went to McDonald's and you already have chronic kidney disease, and you know that's a high sugar diet, you know that's a high insulin diet, and you're adding, when your insulin is already high, this is already high, you're adding more. So tonight when you wake up, tomorrow morning your sugar's high, you wake up in the morning and you might have to take one of those insulin injections to bring it down. But what the insulin has done is raising the insulin so that you can find more of the blood sugars or the glucose, so those receptors can attach themselves. So you take the insulin shot, and now your insulin is still high. You take some more insulin. That's more insulin they put on top of there. You took 15 units, you took 30 units of insulin, and throughout the day, you got to eat. You may have to take another shot because you got to eat, and you know that's going to raise your blood pressure. And also, like I told you guys before in the blood pressure class, you're also raising your pressure up. Your kidneys control the blood pressure, all right? But in your pancreas, how they're connected is with this insulin. So you eat again, and all of a sudden, you're about to start spilling over. You know? At night, you got to take some more insulin before you go to sleep, and you're creating more and more insulin resistance. And what this is doing is basically cutting off more of the nephrons, because those million nephrons are starting to get backed up. So every morning, this is what we're doing. We're never getting rid of it. All right, the medications is not fixing it. All right, so I shared a little video on Facebook. This guy was talking about it, and I wanted to just give you guys that good information, because I know that those medications are not doing any good for us. We're steady spilling over. So the best way to get rid of this, is little by little, you have to start fasting. You know, you got to start really fasting. You may have to go a couple of days until this gets off. You know, so this may take a while. But the thing is, if you are fasting for 7 days, say you want to regenerate your kidneys and get them back working right together, grape juice. Grape juice handles most of that by fasting. Fasting with the grape juice. I think you guys understand what I mean by this. All right, so we gotta fast so that level will go back down to half at least. All right, that way we won't have to take insulin. You won't have to take insulin if you were fasting. All right. So I know that looks. This is realistic right here. All right, just wanted to share that with you guys, because I feel like once we are on those drugs, they don't want you to get off of it until you are actually using the dialyzer to clean up your blood. Alright, there's certain things that the dialyzer does not clean, and I had it in some of my notes here, like vitamin A. Vitamin A does not get cleaned. It stays into your blood. It has retinol esters that are attaching to other molecules like beta carotenes and all those things. Also, we got to understand that the kidney is also making vitamin D. So vitamin D is important to regulate the calcium, magnesium, phosphorus levels in our body, but the kidneys are controlling how much cold cholesterol that you're creating. So this is all another form of vitamin D. I don't think I have that up here. Right, so 10,000 units of vitamin D would be fine to use. I don't have it right there. So I just wanted to share with you guys a couple of things, like the foods that we should be eating. I gave a list on y'all worksheets about which herbs and foods may be toxic to the kidney. We already know we should not be having caffeine. Caffeine is definitely a no. If a person has high blood pressure and drinking caffeine, you know that that's actually contributing to what sits on top of the kidney. What sits on top of the kidney?
The liver.
What's that little triangle that sits on top of the kidney?
Adrenals?
The adrenals. Yeah.
Adrenals.
So as the adrenals are releasing epinephrine, this is a hormone that is released to cause adrenaline in the heart. So when people are drinking coffee, that's what they're increasing. And that goes back down this osmotic flow. And this little thing right here is controlling the blood pressure, not just the heart. All right, so it controls the osmotic fluctuations in the lumen, the interstitium. All of that is definitely being controlled by the kidneys. So you can go think about, this is the earlier stage of heart disease. If it's not going to work, if it's not going to be in your kidneys or the kidney disease, it's going to go to your heart. All right, so both of those are working together. So a person with complications with the kidneys got to watch out for their heart. All right. So another thing, some of the things there are recommended daily amounts of vitamins, because this is very intricate. You just can't fix the kidneys really easily. You have to get blood testing to find out where you are in certain levels. You need to know where your phosphorus levels are, where your calcium levels are, where your magnesium levels are. Sodium, sodium has to be released. Sodium is positive, so sodium comes out, it's reabsorbed through both areas, the distal. So this is sodium, and this is always a positive ion that the kidneys are releasing. They also release down here in the loop of Henle is releasing what they call chloride. So chloride is a negative ion. That's negative, and also hydrogen. Talked about. We got calcium that's up here. It's also being reabsorbed. These are all positive. So it matters which ones is positive and which ones is negative. Like I said, that controls the pH. All right. But this is the only area where glucose is being reabsorbed. It's not being reabsorbed over here in the distal convoluted tubule. So the glucose is all in this area. This area is still working because it's going down in the collecting tube. All right, so the way they do this, if I was to chop this in half, or better yet, do it like this, if you can see what I'm doing here, that's in half. If I was to do this here, there are certain areas, this would be a part of the medulla, and this would be part of the collecting duct. Alright, so if you were to take that in half, if you can see what I just did there, most of it's being demonstrated on this part, and then those are going into the collecting duct here. Alright. So simple to understand the physiology of it. It's way deeper than that. It can be deeper than that, but we're not here to become doctors and chemists and things. But we have to be very careful on some of the vitamins and minerals that we're taking. All right. So I have here some of the things that is going into the dialyzer. Vitamin C is being cleaned in the dialyzer. Vitamin E does not go through the dialyzer. There's certain things inside that dialyzer. It's a liquid, Basically, that's cleaning the blood. And you don't need too much of the vitamin D. So some of the recommendations, maybe you guys can write this down. I like to use B vitamins when it comes to helping the kidneys heal. All right, so one of the main B vitamins that help the kidneys heal is B5. This is called pantothenic acid. You cannot heal the kidney without B5. All right, you also need vitamin B6. Vitamin B6 helps eat up some of those glycated proteins. All right, so this B5, B6, they all handle what you call the metabolism of the kidneys. So if you wanted to restore it, you got to use these B vitamins. B12 is part of the energy production in the kidneys. And you can always use things like the CoQ10 for energy production. But B vitamins are really, really good for it. So,
could we use a B complex, or is it good to isolate the Bs?
you can use a B complex along with the recommended one. So, but think of it this way: there's recommended daily amounts that we need when it comes to like niacin, which is a B3. You only need about 20 milligrams of that. The pantothenic acid, you only need about 10 milligrams of that. They put here folic acid is really good. Actually, we have folate. I don't know if I have folate here. No, I don't. But you want to take about 1 milligram of that as well. So the B vitamins, guys, is very important. I'm talking about all of them: B1, B2, B6, B12, B9, B5, B3. So those will be really good just to help restore. When it comes to the herbs, there are only certain herbs, all right? And I've already put that in a kidney detox. There are only certain herbs that will be really good for it. So first we have a uva ursi. I think that may be on you guys' worksheets. Uva ursi is a diuretic, basically a natural diuretic. It helps create more urine. Where is gravel root? Gravel root is for if you are prone to getting stones. All right, there's a lot of oxalates that can build up. I wanted to talk about vitamin C for a minute because if you are taking too much vitamin C, you can create some oxalate stones in the kidneys. Also, eating a lot of spinach can cause oxalates. I got in here also mushroom, not mushroom, but marshmallow. Where is it? So the marshmallow root. The marshmallow root. There are certain things that these do. This will help flush the kidneys as well. And I didn't bring the other one in here. Milk thistle. Milk thistle has something called silymarin in there. It's also another form of B5. It's really healing to the kidney. It speeds up the superoxide dismutase, which is another form of glutathione. So you really need that for an antioxidant. All right, so milk thistle. If you had a hereditary predisposition to the kidney failure, you can use this milk thistle because it helps restore it faster. This helps with recovery, guys. We're trying to recover from so much of the poisons of the insulin, the high glucose, and the high blood pressure. Things are becoming damaged. What I wanted to show, just for a minute, just to throw you guys off a little bit. Inside of these tubules are epithelial cells. Epithelial. Where is another place where we have epithelial cells? Liver? No, it's not in the liver. But epithelial cells are in the gut. It's also in the lungs. So epithelial cells simply looks like, you remember in the gut, you got these brush borders, and there are little tight junctions in between it. All right, we get what I'm doing here. So that kind of looks like how the gut is, but in here, we're releasing sodium molecules, and they're going in, and potassium molecules are going out. And pretty much you got an extracellular matrix here. Cellular matrix. When this is going back and forth, in and out, this is what's happening inside of here. Alright, so these little cells, you got to repair those cells. You know, we get deep into it because a lot of people are not thinking about these little small cells. So how do you actually, what are those made up of? You know, what are those made of? And how do you make them? Well, certain fats make them. You gotta have certain hormones that help them synchronize with the nerve cells that's around it. So these epithelial cells can be re-energized, I would say. Some of them self-grow. You know, some of them have self-apoptosis. They die off on their own and they regrow on their own. So speeding up the superoxide dismutase, speeding that word up right there. That's how we do this. We do this with immune therapy, using things like, there's a good herb to use called reishi. Just put a couple of herbs over here. Reishi mushroom. This will basically increase glutathione. It also increases your immune system to function better and allows us to remake more epithelial cells. So epithelial cells are in our lungs, kidneys, in the gut lining, and certain foods. Now there are 3 really good foods that really help regrow these cells, or basically protective. You want to suppress the growth of the stage 2 to stage 3, or the stage 4 to end stage. You want to protect yourself from it. And we already talked about some of the herbs, but some foods like blueberries. Blueberries are amazing. It has anthocyanins in it, which are phytochemicals that boost up immunity, and also they're safe for the kidneys. It doesn't have a lot of potassium in it, doesn't have a lot of sodium in it. This is fructose, but it's going down different pathways in the liver before it gets to the kidney. So the liver is doing all that cleaning first, and then it gets there. We can use blueberries to all day. You know, blueberries, grapes, red grapes. These are foods that have resveratrol in it. Resveratrol is anti-aging. So red grapes, make sure the grapes have seeds in it. Another food would be cabbage. Cabbage is a cruciferous vegetable. I would definitely recommend that the person drinks the cabbage juice. Like I said in the other video, this is handling all of our liquids. So the cabbage juice, just eating cabbage, helps our gut lining. It's very safe. It doesn't have a lot of potassium, salt, those things in it. These are the 3 main foods that you can really use to heal the kidneys. Make sure you incorporate those every single day. And this reishi mushroom is something that you want to use just to boost up those glutathione levels. Now I know everyone may think that you can use herbs for almost everything. There are a couple of herbs that are really, really bad for kidney disease. There are a lot of people that know about bladderwrack, sea moss. That's not for kidneys. It's really not for kidneys. They actually have more heavy metals in them. Alright, they're coming from the ocean, and they definitely have a lot of arsenic, cadmium, and they cause something called chronic interstitial nephritis. If you continue to use these things, and you already are at a stage 2 kidney disease, then you're not going to use Irish moss and all those different things. One of the other known fruits is cranberries. You don't want to use cranberries when you have kidney disease. Why? Because it creates more of the oxalates. You don't want to develop a stone in any of these areas here. This may be big on the screen, on the board right here, but these are very, very small. Right? The herb chaparral. On my herb of the day video, I talked about chaparral, and I said that you don't want to use it during kidney disease because it's going to turn your urine brown. Right? So it's definitely toxic. It would cause renal cysts. So people would get those bubbly looking cysts all over. Have y'all seen polycystic kidney disease? That's another form of kidney disease. So chaparral is not a good thing to use. You can actually develop carcinomas that way on the kidneys. Licorice. Had a young lady get some licorice before, and I had to ask her if she had kidney disease because I understood that the phytochemical that is there can cause hypokalemia. Hypokalemia is basically low cholesterol, and it's called hypokalemic nephropathy. So those are some bad herbs to use. So as I always try to help people, there are certain herbs that I've kept people off of dialysis. I got a couple of clients that order this monthly. This is the kidneys and pancreas formula and a part of the Total Detox program. This has saved people from getting on dialysis because of a good herb called Punarnarva. This is one of those herbs that's come in Ayurvedic herbs. It's made in southern parts of India. This particular herb will save you from the progression of kidney disease. So I just wanted to give you guys that because you can do your own research. You'll find that in all the studies, I found a lot of good information about Punarnarva. Okay, I'm trying to make sure I don't leave anything out. Got a lot of healing here going on. N-acetylcysteine. What I've been talking about is basically what I say. The glutathione, super dimutase oxide. This right here speeds it up. N-acetylcysteine. It works good with the brain. It all over the body for the liver, the kidneys. This is something that will protect you. It's the precursor, as they say, to glutathione. It's the master antioxidant. This will also get rid of some of these. Right, so we want to get rid of those as much as possible, guys. This is what's causing the high blood pressure. This is what's causing the high blood sugar, the proteins and the sugars. There was a guy that I knew that he developed kidney disease from drinking a lot of protein shakes. Those muscle building protein shakes. And he was getting over 1,000 grams of protein a day type thing, and it was way too much. And yes, he might have been bulky and strong, but he was really putting a lot of stress on his kidneys. The kidneys does not want to deal with that much protein, guys. And the plant-based proteins are the better proteins to deal with, especially if you have kidney disease. So use the N-acetylcysteine, NAC. And there is another powerful antioxidant to use. What I'm trying to do is get into the cell's mitochondria. This is the powerhouse that creates all of the energy. And if we can create more energy here by using things like N-acetylcysteine, things that build up glutathione, we'll definitely restore the energy in the kidneys. So that product is called alpha lipoic acid. And the wheat germ oil that a lot of people use has alpha lipoic acid in there. I don't sell it because I use the wheat germ oil for almost everything. But it's definitely a protector from oxidative damage. So I always say the proteins don't have any antioxidants. We understand that. We understand that the animal products don't have antioxidants, and we need the antioxidants for things just like this.
Plant protein doesn't have what?
No, that's animal protein. Animal protein.
Sorry.
Oh, the next food that we should always have when we're dealing with this, we need to make sure that we're having some beets. Beets have another key role in kidney disease because it speeds up nitric oxide. We understand that nitric oxide is a vasodilator. It helps produce more energy. It helps produce it's a vasodilator. So it's really just it's healing a lot of different things. A lot of us are injured by antibiotics. That's a lot of times that's how this happens. Too many antibiotics. And you can protect yourself by beets. Beets will protect you from all of that. Like I said, these were just pretty much a little bit of what the function was with the glomerulus. A glomerulus right here is a network of capillaries. It gets all of its blood supply from the afferent arteriole. This is where all the filtration happens. The filtration starts right here. Right? It's getting rid of all of the positive ions. And like I told you guys before, it gets rid of all the larger molecules right here. And remember that the proximal tubule in the loop of Henle is the only place that has glucose reabsorption. All right, so glucose goes in, glucose goes out, glucose goes in, and once it becomes sticky, some of that's not being able to diffuse. All right, so yeah, those are just some of the terms that I had up there. The healing part is the most important part. All right, so getting rid of that insulin resistance. Once we start fasting, do 7 days out of the month. 7 days out of the month, you eat plant-based. And then once you get your test, always test. That is a big thing. Always test. Get your blood panel, your blood analysis, so we can run and know what's going on with those different levels. And each week or each month, we can work on it and fix it. When there's high phosphorus levels, maybe that person was drinking sodas. Maybe that person was eating too much meat or eating too many beans. Beans will make too much phosphorus as well. Also, broccoli will make too much phosphorus. So you got to be careful on phosphorus levels. Sodium can be high by just going over that daily amount. Is so easy of sodium. You do need some sodium. You need Himalayan salt, and not so much, guys. I think the daily limit is around, I want to say, I can't remember exactly the actual daily amount of sodium. It's somewhere around 12, I think I want to say 1200. milligrams around that way.
What type of test should we be asking for when you say always test? What kind of tests?
Oh, if that person is going through kidney disease or stage 2, just get a blood panel. Just get a regular blood analysis. You'll be able to see your results on that. I just think that if you have kidney malfunction, you need to base yourself on that test. You know, that's the better way to heal yourself. Not just going off a wing and just doing some things and thinking that it's going to work. You need to actually do the actual work to it. All right, so I'm just going to make sure I don't miss anything. On the vitamin C, we should be taking between 250 milligrams or 500 milligrams. You don't want to make sure it's too excessive because a lot of the people that drink the Shalom Healing Water take up to 2 grams. Yeah, but with kidney disease, you need only 500 milligrams.
Can you take too much vitamin D
You can take too much vitamin D.
if you have kidney? Because you told us 40,000.
I did.
Women.
That's for fibroids.
Yeah.
All right. I want to, for kidneys, the kidneys are controlling how much vitamin D we're actually absorbing and making. So the limit amount on vitamin D should be individual based on your blood test. Okay. So you can correct that if it's too high, if it's too low within that. There are hormones that this kidney is making. It's making, I don't know exactly all of the hormones, but we're making aldosterone. There's an RA system that's going on in the kidneys that's controlling hormones and how much, I can't even spell that word. It starts with the E. Erythropoietin. It's another hormone that it's making. In the RA system, this is how we get the ACE inhibitors that they have to give you. These are renin. Renin is another hormone. So the doctors are trying to control the RA system of the kidneys by giving you ACE inhibitors. These are aldosterone converting enzymes. That's what that's called. A lot of people that are on those medications. So this kidney makes about 6 different hormones. It even makes new red blood cells. It's a hormone that creates more red blood cells, and I can't think of the exact name of it, or I may say it completely wrong, but know that it's creating red blood cells. So, any other questions?
All right. Greetings, Jamil. He had the first question. You mentioned grape juice. He said, wow, grape juice. Why grapes? You mentioned fasting, but with grape juice.
Because of the anti-aging effects of the grape juice. Resveratrol, the skin of those grapes, the pulp in those grapes has bioflavonoids in there. Those are really, really healing to the kidneys. There are people that can see more filtration if you do the grape juice fast. So a good 6 to 7 days grape juice fast. That would be good to release some of the insulin resistance.
Do we make a tea for the flush?
Yes.
The tea,
This is
the
only
kidney
way-
detox
yeah,
tea
that's the
for
only way
flush.
to deal with kidneys is to deal with it by liquids. So everyone should know how much water to drink. This is one of the main reasons why you will have kidney problems is because of dehydration. Not drinking enough water. So half your body weight in ounces, distilled water, alkaline water is not going to do this any good. Because it's going to get rid of these positive hydrogens anyway. So,
You can drink or take too much plant-based protein as well?
drink too much plant-based protein?
Yes.
No. Our body handles plant proteins way better than any animal protein. The only part about, the only goodness about eating animal products is the mTOR pathway. This is a pathway in the body that allows growth hormones, growth factor hormones to work better. So mTOR is just something that is named just from meat. So I think plant-based proteins are the best.
Should the detox tea be used to prevent kidney disease?
It's there to slow down the progression of kidney disease. So these are preventive and protective measures to do.
Have you ever drink too much marshmallow root and milk thistle? Like if you're just like casually drinking it like all day and stuff?
No, what you're doing, we all set up a 24 ounces a day. So you drink your 8 ounces in the morning, 8 ounces in the afternoon, 8 ounces in the evening. And as you're fasting, you're just basically doing all liquids. And that's going to take off all of that, the insulin resistance. Yeah, so the milk thistle is really, really good for all that.
Great, that was
So-
all of our questions online.
Okay, well, I think we all seen pictures of what a necrotic looking kidney looks like, and we don't want it to go that far. I really wish that the people would share